Jack, welcome back to St Mirren Football Club. Obviously you were here as a player for a spell, now you're here as a manager. How does it feel?
Very exciting. I'm familiar with the club from my time as a player. Very much enjoyed my spell here as a player. Know all about the potential of the club, where it should probably be within the realms of Scottish football. So really looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to getting started, and tremendously excited about it.
When the job became available, was it something you were interested in straight away?
I think I've always had an ambition to manage, and naturally you want to try and manage at the highest level you can. I think it was a position that was attractive because of that, but more than that, I think it's the potential of the club, and I think it's an exciting time for the club, with the new ownership, and from speaking to the chairman and the board, I know that they're determined to try and to build the club properly, so that was a really exciting part of the attraction as well. So once I knew that there was potentially an opportunity for me to become here rather than it became even more appealing.
Obviously you mentioned the potential of the club. You look at the stadium here, a brand new stadium, only 5-6 years old, the training ground at Ralston, the partnership with Pro Life, stuff like that. But did that, coupled with your previous stint here, with the memories you might have had for that, play a part in wanting to take the job?
Yeah, I think you have an affinity with all the clubs that you play for, and especially if you enjoy a successful time on the pitch. And I felt as if I did that. We had a decent team at the time, and I think individually I enjoyed probably one of my best seasons in football here. The first season I was here, certainly. I think also that, what I've said earlier, that I was ambitious. I also know that in football you have to make the right decisions at times, so I don't think I would have ever jumped at full-time football just for the sake of it. I think it had to be something that I felt was a good fit for me and the club I was going to, and this certainly feels like it for all the reasons that you've already mentioned in terms of the infrastructure. I would add to that the potential fan base, and also the new ownership, because that is an exciting time for the club. It won't happen overnight, but certainly there is a long-term plan that will hopefully help this club get back to its rightful place in Scottish football.
It's interesting you mentioned the ownership thing. You were at Hearts. They've obviously got something similar with the foundation of Hearts. How much do you actually know about that from your experience at Hearts?
Well, I understand how it works. I understand the reasoning behind it. I understand the end result, if you like, from it. So I was fortunate to be in at the kind of ground level when it first happened at Hearts, and when the whole new structure was put in place. I've seen the support that can galvanise behind the club. Now at Hearts, what happened alongside that was obviously we had a successful period on the pitch. So I understand that my job is to make sure that happens. So I have to get performances first and foremost, and then results correct on the park to help galvanise that feel-good factor, if you like, that will be around the club. If I can do that, then absolutely the new ownership structure will work, because fans will feel engaged with the club. I know that the work the club is doing already to do that and to improve relations with the supporters, I'll do my utmost to continue that as well. So again, I talk about potential all the time. The new ownership, the new model has massive potential, but ultimately my responsibility is to make sure that things on the park marry in with that.
And looking at the situation at the moment, Saints are bottom of the league, but there's only 8 games played. There's still another 28 to go. What are your kind of immediate aims for the rest of the season?
Well, I think it sounds very simple, but I think in short term it's to start winning matches. Because I think I'm not the only person that's been surprised, I think, by the start of the season. So there's undoubted quality within the squad, and I said this in a similar fashion when I took the job at Alloa. My challenge as a manager is to get the best out of the players that I have at my disposal, and that's what I feel as if I'm good at, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing. When I start to work with the players, there'll be demands on them, but hopefully in a positive and enjoyable way. And if we meet that short-term target of winning matches, then you can start to then adjust your ambitions, I think, as that goes on. But I think in the first instance we have to start doing that, because that will undoubtedly create a confidence and a belief within the playing group and also within the stands as well.
You mentioned a little bit there about the playing staff. Is that something you're quite excited about, the potential of the squad?
Yeah, obviously prior to speaking to the club, I was familiar with the squad anyway, having an interest in Scottish football and working within it, but you start to look more closely at it, and there is a number of very good players here, some who have had established careers in the game and have really good pedigrees, and several others who are exciting young players. So that mix on paper is very good. It's then getting it right on the pitch, and until as a manager you work up close with players, you don't quite appreciate either how good you are or the attributes they have and the types of characters they are. So that will be the case for me over the next period, is to get to know them. I spend a lot of time doing that. I like to work closely with my players, so I'm very excited about that, because I said there's a lot of them I know, but not as well as I would like to, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Obviously, you mentioned the short term and just trying to win matches. Do you have any long term goals at the moment, or is it just a case of just coming in and just working in the short term?
Well, I think we'll set them within the dressing room. I have worked like that previously, where I like to have targets and aims within that dressing room environment. We'll keep them in house and we'll work towards them, and if we reach them, then we'll be successful. But I like my players to have aims and ambitions. I think you've got to. I think otherwise we'll drift, and I think that will be made clear from day one, that there's targets and ambitions there. And they'll not be daft. They'll understand the size of this club and where it should be. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out what they may be, but certainly we'll do that in house, and we'll strive towards them.
And you met with the board on Monday. You met again with them yesterday. How positive were your meetings with them, with Gordon and Tony, in terms of their aims for the club?
I wouldn't say I was surprised by them, but I really enjoyed them. I think when you go into that environment, it's an interview structure, if you like, you're unsure as to the people you're going to speak to, because again, Gordon was here while I was a player, but I didn't really come across him too much. Tony I've known just through football circles, and the rest of the board, obviously a lot I was meeting for the first time. So I was excited by their plans for the club, but I think more importantly that I believed that they were a group of people that I could work with. And I know they will comment on that probably as a board, but I think equally for a manager, he has to feel that, and undoubtedly the plans they have and the way they want to try and do things at the club, I think tie in with my approach as a manager. I'm absolutely willing to take part in all aspects of this club, and help drive it forward, and help improve all areas of it. So, but you need a board that believe in that as well, and that's certainly been the case, and I'm looking forward to a positive relationship over the coming years.
Obviously you're working your notice with Allo at the moment. You're away down to Wales on Saturday to face Ballatown. In terms of starting here on Monday, how do you go about the job now with the Dundee United game coming up? Do you immerse yourself in some of the footage of previous games? Or is it just a case of being on the training field and getting to know the players and working from there?
No, I think every manager has their own way of preparing for matches, and I probably have my own style as well, but I will use footage that's available of both the opposition and obviously our own performances, because naturally we've been involved in the team this season. I haven't seen the team very often apart from on television, so I need to come up to speed with that as well. But I do a lot of preparation for games in general, and I have done that in my time at Hearts and Alloa, so I'm well used to it. I have a system of working that, yes, I'll obviously have to tweak at times, and depending on what resources are available to me and the personnel, etc. And that, so there'll be things over time that will before we settle into an absolute routine. But certainly in the build up to that fixture, we'll work as normal as possible the way I work in terms of how we train, and I'm excited about that because I love coaching, and the frustration when you're a part-time manager is you only get to do it 2 nights a week. So the attraction for me to do that on a far more regular basis is brilliant, and it's something that I can't wait to do.
And something you've touched upon there is that moving from part-time to full-time football. Obviously you were part-time as the assistant manager at Dumbarton as well, and you were a coach at Hearts full-time. How do you feel making the step up as a full-time manager?
I genuinely think it's exciting more than anything else, but for that reason I just spoke about, is that the biggest frustration for me is not being able to spend enough time with my players, both on the training pitch and even away from the training pitch, in terms of getting to know them and their character and their personality, and speaking to them about their performance and how they get the most from themselves. So a full-time environment allows me to do that. I'm no stranger to either in a playing sense or in a coaching sense, because I've done it, and so it doesn't faze me in that sense. It's more excitement. The realisation that I'm going to have all this extra time to work with the players is terrific, and it allows me probably to deliver more of the ideas that I have. I've been able to do it to an extent at Alloa, but I'm obviously limited by time on occasion, so this undoubtedly gives me a greater platform in which to work.
And something else is you won't just be yourself working with the team, you'll be looking to bring in an assistant. How are things going with that? Do you have any names in mind?
Yeah, I do have somebody that I would like to bring to the club. He's working with another club at the moment, so I'm hopeful that that can be pushed through and it can be done, and if it is done, it will be done over the next 2 or 3 days. If it doesn't, then we'll look to alternatives, and I would like to do that again as soon as possible. I know Alan is obviously in place at the club and he will provide assistance as well, and I look forward to that. But equally, it's important to have somebody in to assist me, and if I can get this person in, then I think it will be beneficial to the club as well, and I think supporters will be pleased with the appointment as well. But as I said, at the moment it's out with my hands to an extent, but we're hopeful that can be concluded soon.
And have the board been quite helpful in that regard and giving you the opportunity to bring in your own man, and in terms of also the playing squad, have they backed you to maybe make changes?
Certainly in terms of the coaching staff, yes, because they knew it was important for me to, this is an important decision in my own career as well, and it's something that I want to get right, first and foremost for the club and then for myself. And so I think to have the right person in alongside me, they were very supportive of that. On the playing side, I've got to be honest, I haven't asked really, because again, going back to what I said earlier, we're out with a window. I have a playing squad here that has pedigree and has quality. My challenge as a manager is to get the best from them. I think that's how managers should look upon it, as opposed to coming in and saying, well, make excuses about I can't make changes, etc. I'll do my utmost to get the best from them. I'm confident that I will. I believe in my abilities to do that, and hopefully the fans will then see that on the pitch.
Well, Jack, all the best as St Mirren Football Club manager.
Thank you.